the Buddha Taught by Walpola Rahula. Now, I guess it fits in perfectly that I decided to shave my head before, but I'm going to have to redo it with the razor that actually works. Cutting it short was about all I could do right. Vaisajya Guru, the Buddha as the great doctor for the ills of the world from Japan. And let's look at the foreword by Paul Demieville. A member of the Institut de France, professor at the College de France, director of the Buddhist studies at the School of the Higher Studies in Paris. Here's an exposition of Buddhism conceived in a resolutely modern spirit by one of the most qualified and enlightened representatives of that religion. The Reverend Dr. W. Rahula received the traditional training and education of a Buddhist monk in Ceylon and held eminent positions in one of the leading monastic institutes. Pirivena, in that island, where the law of the Buddha flourishes from the time of Asoka and has preserved all its vitality up to this day. Thus, brought up in an ancient tradition, he decided, at this time, when all traditions are called in question, to face the spirit and the methods of international scientific learning. He entered the Ceylon University, obtained the BA Honours degree, London, and then won the degree of Doctor of Philosophy of the Ceylon University on a highly learned thesis on the history of Buddhism in Ceylon, having worked with distinguished professors at the University of Calcutta and come in contact with the depths of Mahayana, the great vehicle, that form of Buddhism which reigns from Tibet to the Far East. He decided to go into the Tibetan and Chinese text in order to widen his humanism. And he has honored us by coming to the University of Paris, Sorbonne, to prepare a study of Asanga, the illustrious philosopher of Mahayana, whose principal works in the original Sanskrit are lost and can only be read in their Tibetan and Chinese translations, are, as we've learned from the last series, versions, interpolations, a lot of stuff, I'm sure. Tibetan, to bring about more of a Bon-like faith, and Chinese certain mysticism that kind of blended with. And it is now 8 years since Dr. Rahula is among us, wearing the yellow robe, breathing in the air of the Occident, searching perhaps in our old, troubled mirror, a universalized reflection of the religion which is his. The book which he has kindly asked me to present to the public of the West is a luminous account, within the reach of everybody, the fundamental principles of the Buddhist doctrine as they are found in the most ancient texts, which are called the tradition, Agama in Sanskrit, and in the canonic corpus, Nikaya in Pali. Dr. Rahula, who possesses an incomparable knowledge of these texts, refers to them constantly and almost exclusively. Their authority is recognized unanimously by all the Buddhist schools, which were and are numerous, but none of which ever deviates from these texts except with the intention of better interpreting the spirit beyond the letter. The interpretation has indeed varied in the course of the expansion of Buddhism through many centuries and vast regions, and the law has taken more than one aspect, but the aspect of Buddhism here, presented by Dr. Rahula, humanist, rational, Socratic in some aspects, evangelic in others, are again almost scientific, has for its support a great deal of authentic scriptural evidence, which he only had to let speak for themselves. The explanations which he adds to his quotations, always translated with scrupulous accuracy, are clear, simple, direct, and free from all pedantry. Some among them might lead to discussion as to when he wishes to rediscover in the Pali sources all the doctrines of Mahayana, but his familiarity with those sources permits him to throw new light on them. He addresses himself to the modern man, but he refrains from insisting on comparisons, just suggested here and there, which could be made with certain currents of thought of the contemporary world: socialism, atheism, existentialism, psychoanalysis. It is for the reader to appreciate the modernity and the possibilities of adaptation of a doctrine which, in this work of genuine scholarship, is presented to him in its primal richness. Now, as much as there are better titles, you can call me a Buddhist for the next week or so. You know, as I do this series, I've done other material to put on the Buddhist list, but yeah, a Bodhisattva, even a Buddha, that'd be okay. You can call me that. But that means I have to maintain something, that I have to bring something back if I'm going to be a Buddha. But again, don't. By that, I'm not saying take refuge in me. But taking refuge with the teachings, yeah, take refuge with teachings of whatever faith you have, of the spiritual community and the God, not the spiritual leader. Let's not go into what the Greeks call phantom.